Hey everybody, Adam Savage here in my cave. It is a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Yeah, it's 1 p.m. here in California. It is slightly overcast and a medium 52 degrees in the city. I kind of love the weather when it's like this. I hope everyone's holidays were good. We had a COVID scare, but nobody came down with COVID, luckily. I mean, except for the one who came down, but it was a mild case for them and none of us got it. So that I'm grateful for that. I hope you had the same. Actually, I have to tell you that parenting is a fascinating journey. And the thing that I wasn't prepared for was how different parenting is of adult kids. And there was just this moment over Christmas when our house was full of me, my wife, my mom, and both of my adult sons. And we all got along just fabulously. And it was just one of those it was my favorite Christmas I've ever had. That was my holiday. It was stellar. Thanks for asking. Welcome to the live stream. We have been asking for questions. This was for tested members. Yep. Tested patrons have submitted some questions on tools and techniques, although almost all the questions are in the tool category. Fair enough. Let's get into it because there's some awesome questions here. I've got some pre-submitted questions, but I'll also be taking some live ones during the stream. Lee Wilson Silas. The first question is a terrific question to answer. Lee Wilson Silas says, some tools spark childish joy every time you use them. What tool makes you giddy? Lately, this tool makes me giddy. This is a probably well over 100-year-old woodworker's mallet. I think, yeah, you can still separate it out. It is a beautiful piece of equipment, and I picked this up recently on eBay for a song. I mean, like 20 bucks. And just as a point of comparison, like, this is the kind you can get today from the hardware store, and this is a Crown Tools. This is from Sheffield, England. This is a lovely piece, but this doesn't hold a candle to this. And I picked up like a batch of 5 of these for something like 40 bucks. I gave one to Joey Famelli. When I picked this up and I need to do a little tappy tap, it feels so fantastic. And you can choke all the way up on the handle and get a little bit of momentum. Hold on. Sorry, maybe there's a pollen bloom, not sure. This tool is definitely giving me a lot of joy. It sits at the top of my hammer stack, which totally needs a redesign because it's over full. But I absolutely, I hope that's not triggering. Oh yeah, I don't have tissues nearby, so there we go. All right, hi everybody. This tool, this hammer totally sparks joy. It's a great question. The other tool that sparks joy for me every single time I use it since the moment I discovered it existed is this, the portable bandsaw. And I've covered this in tool tips. I've modified one to be a standing miniature bandsaw. For the uninitiated, this is a continuous band saw that goes so slow or at a reasonable speed and cuts through almost everything. The first one of these I bought was probably 3 years into Mythbusters tenure. Milwaukee came out with a cordless version of this, and it was like a joke with the crews. I was using it to make my lunch. I use this thing so often. I still have 2 cordless and 1 corded in addition to the one that's over there. I love the Portaband saw. Sometimes I wish there was one that was even deeper. I know some of you in the comments will tell me about ones that are like half an inch deeper. No, I mean like way deeper. Like I want one that's like significantly deeper. This is, what is that? That's about 4 inches. That's pretty standard for the larger size ones. If you know about a larger size one, let me know, please. Yeah. I don't love pulling that tool out. Landon asks this question. What was the first tool machine you found yourself admiring beyond its designed application or function? whether that be aesthetics, history, build quality. This is a really interesting question. And then Landon goes on to give an example, which is really interesting. Landon says that they have always found themselves enthralled with old telegraph keys. Kids, in the early days of communication, we used a telegraph, which was sets of dots and dashes, which was just electrical pulses with differing distances between them in order to spell out letters. I think most of you probably know this. But Landon explaining that they found themselves enthralled by old telegraph keys. When I was a kid, my grandparents had an amazing house in an amazing little conclave north of New York City called Sneeden's Landing. It's where my mom grew up. It is on the west side of the Hudson Palisades, just past the disjunctive sill, I think, that causes the Palisades to rise out of the water. Just past that, there's this little neighborhood called Sneeden's Landing. And like I said, it's where my mom grew up in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. And in my grandmother's house, which was this sprawling, beautiful house. I swear to God, it had a secret door in my grandfather's library that led to a plant cutting shed that my grandmother used. There was an incredible dollhouse in there that Helen Norman had built. It was really, really magical. And there were two like Narnia attics in one of the guest bedrooms. And like this, like, you know, one of those bedrooms with slanted sides that are the roof. And there's some closet in the corner that goes all the way back. So it's like this diminishing forced perspective exploration. And I remember going into those closets when I was like, 7, 8 years old with a little flashlight and finding my mother's ex-husband's telegraph keys. My mother's ex-husband, who was a screenwriter in Hollywood, my mother's first husband, was an amateur telegrapher and a hobbyist. And Landon, I not only found myself compelled by the telegraph keys, I didn't know what they were at first. And the bakelite and the brass and the pieces of them, it's not too much to say I've spent my whole life chasing the high of finding telegraph keys in my grandmother's attic. Seriously, like it is a deeply informative part of the aesthetic of me. In fact, a few months ago, I covered on Tested that I had built this case for my Nagra Kudelski SN spy recorder. And like there's the spy recorder and all of its equipment, but there's very much an aesthetic going on here that is speaking directly to what it was like searching through my grandmother's attic in what had to have been 1974, 1975. I mean, that's why the aesthetic of this goes right to that kind of timeline. And yeah, I think those are really like beautiful primordial moments that shape us. That I was confronted with an object whose utility I could see. I could see that this was built carefully by people for a purpose. But what that purpose was not knowable by me. And I still find that tension delicious. I love looking at a machine that I don't know how it works and I don't know what it does. Like ClickSpring's last two videos, Chris's last two videos on ClickSpring about the single-use machines that just like carve patterns for you under different circumstances. I never get tired of looking at machines like that and then learning how they work. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us even further, you can by becoming a Tested member. Details are, of course, below, but it includes all sorts of perks, and we're building them all the time. You get advanced word and behind-the-scenes photos of some of our projects. Questions, you get to ask direct questions during my live streams, and we have some members-only videos, including the Adam real-time series of unbroken, unedited shots of me working here in the shop. They are weirdly meditative. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you on the next one.